Howdy, and welcome to Broken Tool Garage. This week, working on the 85 Ramcharger again, right? Doing the suspension system, and I'm specifically going to be working on the upper control arms. I'm going to show how to get those off there and how to set up safely, and I'm going to be going over the bushings. So if you're coming over here from my polyurethane install video, which is next week, then yes, I am going to show how to get the factory bushings out. I'm also going to show what you're going to run into when you go to install the factory replacement bushings, the rubber bushings on there, versus what you need to do for the poly bushings to get everything prepared for that, right? So generally going over all that, this is not exactly how-to on that. Step by step and everything, but you should be able to figure out what we got going on. I'm also going to show you the hard way of getting these out, and then I'm going to show you the easy way because, well, that's how I learn how to do some of this stuff, is figure out the hard way to do it, and then I try to come back and show other people, hey, I figured out a better way to go about it, right? Okay, well, let's just get right to it. Okay, here's my setup that I have here for working on the upper control arm. I have the frame jack standed over here, right? And I like using my blocks on there so that I'm not raising the jack stand up very high. That'll make it stable. I also have a jack stand underneath the control arm. Right underneath the spring is where I wanted that one. That's also where it kind of works out pretty good. And I have the jack underneath the ball joint right there, which you can't see, but it's cupped around the ball joint with just a little bit of pressure on it. And I still have the shock installed in there. So as I'm working on this, what I've done is I've tried to bring this down as low as possible so that's the least amount of tension on the spring. And with this system here, I have the jack stand, and the shock. For the spring to come out, all three of these would have to fail for the spring to come out. So I kind of like that safety measure there. Okay, I've loosened this nut up, but I'm going to leave it kind of on as a little bit of a safety because I'm about to pickle fork it off. I think the stud being in there is going to prevent this from coming out right there, or at least make it a lot harder. So I'm going to go ahead and just break that loose so that's free, but it's still captured right there, and then see what I can do about getting that to turn. Yep, rainy day. I'm doing my pickup shots. I admit it, I had to come back while I'm editing the video and add content in here and do some pickup shots. Actually, I recorded this, I didn't like how it come out. So we're going to go over these cam bolts right here. They're called a cam bolt because it's cammed over, right? This is the adjustment of the of the camber on these trucks. The cars use, I think a lot of the Dodge cars use this too. You have the same thing on the other side. You got a little flat cutout right there. That washer goes in there, and that's what goes in here and holds everything together, right? So let's look at this over here. So you got two little flats in there. There's one of them slightly curved. So when the bolt goes in, that's your adjustment. That's quite a bit of adjustment right there. See how that works? You got the slot, and that locks it in. And you got the same thing on the back side. We're not going to show that, where this washer goes. And it's going to, it has to do the parallel of that and do the same thing. Pretty cool little design right there. Okay, control arm is off. Yes, we are raining. I'm trying to get this in before the next downpour comes through. So just went ahead and got the control arm off, just used a pickle fork, took it apart. You already seen the safety setups that I have for this. One thing I want to note, I was trying to get that ball joint out and I was unable to do that. I actually took it to a local tire shop that I like to use, alignment shop. They used two of their guns. They couldn't get it out. Well, that's a good thunder hit right there. They had to go into the back and get one of their big guns, the 1/2-inch drive one, in order to get both of those ball joints out. So they I wasn't getting them out shy of having a 13-foot pry bar. But anyways, want to let you know that's what I had to do there. So be prepared for that if you're going to be doing this. You may have to take some of this stuff to someone to press something out or whatever. So, but anyways, I'm going to get back to the control arms. Now that I have it out, I'm going to start showing you how to get the bushings out. And we're going to have fun with that. Okay, taking a peek. Don't have my pointer. I took the little washer from, you know, the washers on the end right here, and I shoved that in there, and it fit perfectly to keep the edge of that from rounding over. So now it's going right up against there, and it's starting to straighten out and come out a lot easier now. All right, I felt it give way, so we're going to see that I can't get it apart with my bare hands. Where did my wrench go? Oh, that's all it took. Oh, yeah, I meant to do that. That's that washer I put in there. And we're going to unthread. Let me get the wrench down. Don't need that anymore. That's just going to be in the way. Oh, look, there's no more bushing. It just simply disappeared. Okay, now my little shim thing is stuck in there, but that ain't nothing a hammer can't fix. See, there's a bushing right there. Get out of there, you ugly. There we are. Okay. What I've done here is I've just lobbed off, well, I would say corners, but it's a circle. You know what I'm saying. Lobbed off 4 corners in there. I still have a lot of meat in there for my little press to get on that. Right? So it has enough to get a good bite on there to press this out. That washer in there, it's slightly smaller than that, and pressing it in is not a big deal, but now this is 30 years old, everything's all rusty and crudded and corroded. I've always had a problem with those, and I can't remember if I did this last time or not. I think I did. I remember that now. Looks like I need to nip that little corner right there off right quick. Other than that, I think that's going to make this a lot easier. It's still all the way down in there. Of course, I don't want it to fit inside that hole, but I think that's going to help me out a lot right there. I think I'm going to come in with the angle grinder and just nib that down just a hair. And when you do this, I use my cutoff wheel. Don't get into the control arm. You don't want to be cutting that, because I don't know about part stores, but Rock Auto does not sell these. So I hadn't checked part stores. So if you're going to be doing your Mopars, your, what is it, 73 to 93 Dodge trucks, you're going to have to do this. That one's already out. I could have actually set you up and wouldn't even had to sped the thing up. That's how easy that was. But there was a trick to it. So what I did, like I said, I cut the corners off, right? Then I put some good pressure on it with this clamp. Took the trusty torch, went all the way around real good. You know, don't take no 10 minutes of it. Just heat it up all the way around real good. And then started clamping it down, and it come right out. Textbook. I mean, if I would have showed you that, I would have looked like some sort of professional. So ignore what I did on the first one. All right, take 2 for me on this, because I just kind of was slopping this one together, and, well, y'all deserve better than that. Okay, what we got is, if we look at the A-arm, we see this part right in here, right? That's actually the outer sleeve, like what you see on this new bushing, right? So my tool presses out. What happens is this piece right here presses right up against the sleeve and end up pressing the bushing itself out. So if you want to use these like they are, if you're not going to go to poly bushing, then you'll have to figure out how to get these out. Now, this should be familiar if you're one of my subscribers or viewers from the Fox Mustang community, because the lower control arm on a Fox Mustang does the same thing. And how I got those out is basically you put a Sawzall blade in there and cut it, try not to damage your control arm, and get it to pop out, and then you can put your new sleeve and bushing in there. I'm not doing that on this. I'm not doing that on this one. Actually, I just bought poly bushings, waiting for those to come in. Got them from the parts store. Now here's some reasoning of that. This little bugger right here, which is a huge pain because you have to carefully get the other piece out, right? That, or you got to press the bushing out of the shell. We'll go over that in a second. This is 13 bucks each. You need 4 of them, right? So we can do math on that, right? $13, 13 is 26, 26, 20, $52, right? I can get the poly kit from Energy Suspension from the local parts store for $51, and it includes the lowers as well. So that's cheaper, right? If you're doing the uppers, you're gonna have to do the lowers, right? So anyways, what you can do if you don't want to go that route is with this kit that I have, which is a piece of all thread. I bought this as a kit from Mancini Racing, I believe. It's a control arm bushing install kit. You can probably find these. Ooh, let me clean that up. I've been having it in a vise and everything. But anyways, it's just this tube right here with a little plate that they press down in there. We got a little piece of stock right there. So anyways, you can jig this up so that this piece fits over there, right? And do the same thing and press the bushing out of the sleeve, hopefully not damaging it, and then press it into your old sleeve in your control arm. That's essentially what I did on the Mustang. The poly bushing kits don't come with the outer shells, so you got to reuse the outer shells. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do with this right here. It's going to be a couple days before I get those in, so I'm going to be working on some other stuff on the Ramcharger. But yeah, that's the essence of it right there of how I go about doing these bushings. Last time I did it, I didn't do the polys. I just pressed them out of this. Trying to remember, I think I had to go through and do like an angle slice on there so it gives it enough squeeze, and then you can put that in there. You got to be careful not to destroy the bushing doing that, but you can take an angle grinder or whatever and gently go across there. That peels it back, and then you can use the kit to push it out. Pretty sure that's what I did last time, but that's like 12 years ago. And well, that's it. That's all I got on here. That's my tips. Oh, by the way, I do want to show you, this is what it looks like when you do press it out, right? Notice the cap right here goes back on there. So the cap, it can come on and off on these aftermarket ones. All it does is something for that cam bolt to go up against, right? That's all that is. So you got one on one side and one on the other side like that, right? All right, got it all together and everything. Next week you get to see the poly bushings getting put in and everything actually coming together and looking all pretty right there. Remember, if you're going to use poly bushings, the little end cap, the small one, you either need to drive that out on your old bushing, or you can do like Rock Auto has a set of them for like, oh, $4. You can get a set of bushings, and then you just take the caps out of that kit right there. Either way, you'll need that because there's that space in between the body and the control arm. So make sure to do that right there. All right, well, that'll tidy all this up right there. Next week, the poly bushings are going in. Make sure to catch that one right there. That's when everything starts to look pretty right there. Okay, well, that's it for this week, and I'll see you next time on Broken Tool Garage.